Let us now look at perfect competition. Okay, there are three conditions which should exist before the profits of a producer would be maximum when there is perfect competition. We are going to look at these three conditions and the proof of these three conditions. So what are these three conditions? The first condition is that the market price is equal to the marginal cost at equilibrium output. Now, simply speaking, what this means is that the price at which the commodity is sold should be equal to the marginal cost. We understand what is marginal cost, so I'm not getting into the explanation. At what point? At the equilibrium output. And this is what? This is the output at which the profits of the producer are maximum. Right? So the price has to be equal to the marginal cost, which means it can neither be greater than the marginal cost nor it can be less than the marginal cost. Let us see a proof of this condition by proving that neither the greater nor the less condition applies, and therefore the only point at which the equilibrium takes place is when the price is equal to the marginal cost. So let us look at this. The market price is equal to the marginal cost at equilibrium output. For the purpose of this graph, we have price and cost here, okay, and we have output on the x-axis. There are four quantities of output which are produced: x1, x2, x3 and x4, right? The price curve is something which is given by this red line spreading from this point to this point, and the marginal cost curve is something which is starting from point A and going here up to point R, right? Now if you notice, for this particular part, the marginal cost, since the cost is also given on this line, right, it is greater than or it is higher than the price. At this point, the price is equal to the marginal cost. For the area that I'm just highlighting, if you just look at this, here the marginal cost, which is, if you see, also on this particular line, it is less than the price, or in other words, price is greater than the marginal cost. At point this, price is again equal to the marginal cost, and for the area above this point, which is basically this line, here the price, which is this particular line, right, and the marginal cost is plotted here. So this marginal cost is basically greater than the price. So if you actually see all this area here, the price is greater than the marginal cost. We need to prove that the price is actually equal to the marginal cost, and that is where the equilibrium output is achieved. So let us first look at the condition as to whether the price, when it is greater than marginal cost, the producer will be in equilibrium. Now if you notice, in all these conditions, where is the price greater than marginal cost? The marginal cost curve, as long as it stays below this particular line, below the price, here the price is always greater than the marginal cost for this particular area, right? In this particular area, let's say he produces the quantity which is produced, right, in this case is x2, right? In such a case, the marginal cost will be how much? This is the marginal cost. Let's say this point is n. The marginal cost here is nx2, and the price here is, let's say this point is f. F is nothing but a point on the price line. So the price here is f, right? If the price is fx2 and the marginal cost is nx2, we see that there's a difference between the price and the cost, right? If the price is greater than the cost, the producer will keep on producing more. Until what time? Until the time when the price is equal to the marginal cost. And if you see, if I just follow this particular trail over here, When does the price becomes equal to the marginal cost? It becomes equal to the marginal cost at this point in time, which is nothing but the output of X3, right? So the producer will keep on producing until he reaches the output level at X3, because that is where the price becomes equal to the marginal cost. Anything before this, right, unless and until the marginal cost is this, anywhere in this particular zone, as long as the producer keeps on making more and more commodity, his profits are going to increase until the time the equilibrium output is achieved, which is this particular point at X3 output. He will keep on producing more. Let's look at the second condition. What if price is less than the marginal cost? Now this basically, if you think of it, what this means is, if I am producing a commodity at 10 rupees a unit, my price is 8, right? If I look at this in this particular case, here any point after this line, which is this, let me just reinstate the marginal cost curve in blue itself, right? Any point after this point where the price was equal to the marginal cost, here what it means is that the price is P, the marginal cost is anything over here, where means that marginal cost is greater than P, right? Now if you look at X4 as one of the output quantity which is there, right? At X4 the price, if I call this as point S, the price is SP, okay, SP. This is the price which is there. How much is the quantum which is produced? I mean, I'm using the word S, you can even call it as P. What is the output? The output is X4, right? What is the marginal cost? The marginal cost is, if you just stretch this line, the marginal cost is, and you call this point as R, the marginal cost is R, which is greater than P. The firm has no incentive to produce X4 unit of commodities, because here for every unit they are producing, they are going to lose money. So what they are going to do is they'll keep on reducing their production, keep on reducing until they reach the point X3, where the price is equal to marginal cost. And that basically proves that the market price is equal to the marginal cost at equilibrium output. The second condition is that the marginal cost is non-decreasing at equilibrium point. What is the equilibrium point? Where price is equal to the marginal cost. Let's look at the same diagram again, of course a cleaner one this time. Now in this case, if you see, the price is equal to the marginal cost at 2 points. One is point B, which is this, and the other one is point A, right? Now think, if you were a producer, okay, you are at a output of X1, right? Here your price is equal to the marginal cost, but every additional unit that you are producing, your marginal cost is actually less than price. Which means, suppose here if you were producing 10 units and making a profit of 50, right? If you make 11 units, you're making a profit of, let's say, 52. Why? Because for the incremental unit that you had produced from this point until here, the marginal cost is lower than the price, so your profits will keep on increasing. Therefore we are not going to consider point A for the purpose of our analysis. Coming to point B, which is also a point where price is equal to the marginal cost, point B will be the point at which there will be maximum profit when, if there are two conditions which are satisfied. What? So at point B, the manufacturing that you do is of X3 units. For any unit less than X3, or the output at point 3, at point B, if the marginal cost, this is the marginal cost, is lower than the price, that would mean that the profits will increase, right? Therefore the producer has an incentive to produce more. But if for output greater than X3, right, the marginal cost is greater than the price, which is what is also happening here, Here the marginal cost, if you see on this curve, is greater than the price. The price is the red curve which is here, right? When both these two conditions are satisfied, we say that a particular point is the equilibrium point, right? And if you see at this particular point, which is point B, the marginal cost is non-decreasing, which means at any output that is produced at B, okay, I mean once the B unit quantity is achieved, the marginal cost is non-decreasing. Here if you see, the marginal cost is increasing, as against this, in case of point A, the cost was decreasing. Here it is increasing. The third condition is that in the short run, the market price has to be greater than the average variable cost at equilibrium output, right? And in the long run, the market price has to be greater than the average cost at equilibrium output. Now notice the difference of the word variable over here. In the short run, it refers to the average variable cost. In the long run, it refers to average cost, right? Let's look at the proof of this condition, that the market price has to be greater than equal to the average variable cost at equilibrium output. Again, in this diagram, this red line denotes the price, right? SAVC here refers to the short-term average variable cost, right? So let's say at point E, which is something which is marked here, the price is equal to the marginal cost. Here it is the marginal cost curve, right? The marginal cost curve decreases, and at point E, this marginal cost is equal to the price, right? Now when the marginal cost is equal to the price at this time, the average variable cost, if you just see this particular curve, the average variable cost curve, the average variable cost curve indicates that the cost is B, which is greater than the price, right? So look at it from a producer perspective. If the average variable cost at the equilibrium price, right, is greater than this price, will the firm produce? They will say, we will not produce. Why? Because let's look at a situation when they do not produce. If they do not produce, which means the output here has to be 0. At 0 output, right, the firm is going to incur total fixed cost, but the average variable cost of the firm, if you see this curve, will be 0. So the loss they incur is going to be equal to the total fixed cost. But by increasing the output from 0 to X, what they are doing is they are incurring a loss which is equal to this total fixed cost, plus in addition to this, since the average variable cost is B, this part which we have highlighted here in red, this is the additional loss that they are going to incur. So a producer will not produce if the average variable cost is greater than the price, right? Hence, by contradiction, we say that the market price has to be necessarily greater than the average variable cost at equilibrium output in the short run. In the long run, the market price has to be greater than equal to the average cost at equilibrium output. So we will prove this point by contradiction, which means that, let's say for example, assume for a minute that the price is less than the average cost at equilibrium output. In this example also, at point B, right, the price, which is this point, is equal to the marginal cost. This is the long-term marginal cost curve which we have, right? Here the price is equal to the long-term marginal cost curve at point B, right? If the long-term average cost, if you just look at the output level of X, if the long-term average cost is greater than the price, since the cost is greater than the price, the firm is bound to incur loss, right? What is the loss? It's the area which we have highlighted here, which is the loss which is incurred by the firm, right? So by producing this X unit of output, the firm is incurring a loss which is equivalent to its fixed cost plus the portion highlighted in the red mark, the loss portion. If that be the case, the firm will say, let's not produce anything. Let our average cost be equal to 0. Let's incur a loss equal to the fixed cost and stay happy, because then basically they are reducing their losses, which means this price has to be greater than or equal to the average cost before the firm will produce, right?